Okay, think about this. What if you could build like serious wealth with just one simple investment strategy? No day trading, none of that complex stuff. Just one straightforward approach, one that's actually worked for decades. That's the promise, maybe the audacious promise we're diving into today. We're taking a really close look at J.L. Collins' book, The Simple Path to Wealth. It's kind of transformed how a lot of people think about investing. And what's really cool is where it came from. It started as letters from a father to his daughter, just trying to strip away all the jargon, make money in investing super clear. So let's unpack this. How does this book cut through all that noise from the financial industry?
Well, what's fascinating here is how Collins presents simplicity. It's not about being unsophisticated, right? It's more like simplicity is the ultimate defense. A defense against an industry that, let's be honest, often thrives on complexity to, well, charge fees. It's almost like using the system's weight against itself. Radical transparency. So our mission today is basically to give you a shortcut, help you really get these powerful ideas. We want to unearth those maybe surprising facts, give you those aha moments about building wealth without feeling totally overwhelmed.
It's definitely a bold claim. I mean, a single path. So let's just get right into it. What if it's like you were saying, a lot of the investment advice we hear, what if it isn't really designed to make us rich? Collins really pulls back the curtain here, doesn't he? It's quite provocative. What does he say is the big thing the industry kind of doesn't want regular investors to know?
Yeah, it's almost like an open secret once you see it laid out. Collins basically argues that many financial products, many services, they're primarily structured to benefit the advisors and the companies. Through fees, commissions, whether your investments actually do well or not, it's baked in. He calls this the cost of complexity, and he shows how even a seemingly tiny fee, say 2% a year, that compounded over like 30 years, it can literally cost you hundreds of thousands in lost returns. It's actively working against you.
Wow. Hundreds of thousands from just 2%. That's staggering.
It really is. And then there's this whole active management myth. Study after study shows the same thing, pretty much year after year. Like 80 to 90% of actively managed funds, the ones with the smart managers trying to pick the winning stocks, they consistently fail to beat simple market returns long term.
80 to 90%?
Seriously. And even the few that do beat the market in one period, they rarely keep doing it. So you're often paying much higher fees for worse odds, statistically. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it kind of explains why financial TV and Wall Street are always pushing the next hot stock or market timing or expert analysis, right? It keeps things exciting. It keeps people trading. And crucially, it keeps people paying those fees. Simple, boring strategies don't generate as much revenue for them.
Right, the noise serves a purpose, just maybe not our purpose. It's wild to think that the noise might actually be harmful. But okay, if most advice is a distraction, what's Collins' incredibly simple alternative? Is it really just one investment?
For most people, yes. He absolutely believes in a one investment solution. It's remarkably straightforward. His specific recommendation, the core of the whole strategy, is VTSAX. That's the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund.
VTSAX, just one fund. Okay, that sounds almost too simple after everything we just discussed about complexity and fees. How can one thing possibly be that effective? How does it work?
I know, it sounds too good to be true, right? But its power is its simplicity. So VTSAX, the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, Collins calls it buying the entire haystack. You're essentially owning a tiny slice of almost every publicly traded U.S. company, think Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, but also thousands of smaller ones.
So you're not picking winners, you're just betting on everything.
Exactly. You're betting on the overall growth and innovation of the entire U.S. economy. All of it. You capture all the market growth without needing to guess which company will be the next big thing or which sector. And the diversification, it's built right in, automatically covers different company sizes, industries, growth stocks, value stocks, the works. You don't have to juggle anything. And then the kicker. The low fees. VTSAX has an expense ratio around 0.03%.
0.03.
Yeah. So for every $10,000 you have invested, you pay just $3 a year. $3. Compare that to maybe 1%, even 2% for some active funds. That's $100 or $200 on the same $10,000 every single year. That difference, compounded over decades, it's just enormous. Which, this raises an important question. If it's this simple, this cheap, and this effective historically, why isn't everyone doing it?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I guess that brings us right to the psychology of it all, because it's one thing to say buy the haystack and hold on. It's another thing to actually do it when things get rocky. If the strategy is simple, why do so many people still fail? It's got to be less about the math and more about us,
Yeah.
our emotions.
Absolutely. This is crucial. Collins talks a lot about the behavior gap.
Yeah.
Studies show this gap clearly. The average investor, they tend to significantly underperform the actual market returns. We're talking maybe earning 3 or 4% a year versus the market's historical average of, say, 10%.
Why such a big difference?
It's our behavior. People tend to get excited and buy high when the market's booming, FOMO kicks in, and then they panic and sell low when the market crashes. Fear takes over. So your emotional discipline, how you react, often matters way more than which specific fund you picked. And Collins is really blunt about this. Market timing is impossible. Trying to jump out before a crash and back in before the recovery
Doesn't work.
doesn't work, not consistently. Even the pros can't do it reliably. You often end up missing the best recovery days, and those days are critical for long-term growth. So the real advantage, it comes from boring discipline, just investing regularly, month after month, not panicking, staying the course for decades. He even says we need to learn to embrace volatility. Think of market crashes not as disasters, but as sales. Stocks are on sale.
That's a very counterintuitive way to look at it. Our instincts scream danger.
Totally counterintuitive. Our gut tells us to run. But Collins argues that's precisely when you should be buying more, getting more shares at lower prices. Think about the Great Recession, 2008, 2009. If you put $10,000 in at the peak in 2007, yeah, it probably dropped to around $5,000 by early 2009. Scary stuff. But if you just held on, or even better, kept buying, that $10,000 was back to $15,000 by 2013. And today, it'd be over $40,000. What's fascinating here is you can see how the financial news often amps up the fear and greed. That emotional roller coaster helps their ragings, keeps eyeballs glued, makes calm, long-term thinking really hard.
Yeah, it definitely feels like our emotions are being played sometimes. Okay, so managing our minds is key. Talking about goals, Collins has this phrase that really sticks with you. F you money. It's memorable. What's the real meaning behind that?
Yeah, F you money. It's provocative, right? But it's not just about being rich in the traditional sense. It's about reaching a point of financial independence where you have total freedom. Freedom to make choices without being forced by bills or needing a specific job, maybe one you don't even like. It's liberation money, life on your own terms money.
Okay, so how do you figure out how much that is, your personal FU number?
He uses the 4% rule as a simple guideline. You take your annual expenses, what you need to live comfortably each year, and multiply it by 25. So let's say you spend $40,000 a year, multiply by 25, that's $1 million. That's your target investment portfolio size. The idea, based on historical studies, is that you can safely withdraw 4% of that $1 million, so $40,000 each year, and the remaining investment should, on average, grow enough to replenish that withdrawal and keep up with inflation. Your original capital stays intact, ideally.
Got it. Expenses times 25. And then he talks about different phases, right? Accumulation, preservation.
Exactly. He breaks it down simply. Phase 1 is wealth accumulation. That's when you're working, earning, and investing as much as you possibly can, mostly in VTSX or similar, pouring fuel on the fire. Phase 2 is wealth preservation. As you get closer to that FU number, maybe nearing retirement, you might start adding some bonds just to smooth out the ride a bit, reduce volatility, protect what you've built. And phase 3 is wealth distribution. That's when you're actually living off your investments. Now the focus shifts to withdrawing money smartly, tax efficiently, and his advice on how much to invest is pretty direct, as much as you possibly can. Seriously, aim for at least 20% of your income if you can swing it. The earlier you start, the more powerful compounding becomes. And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, automating your investments is just crucial. It takes willpower out of it, makes it consistent.
Automate, automate, automate. Takes the emotion out, like we said.
Yeah.
Okay, this is great. So for everyone listening who's thinking, all right, I'm in this simple path, sounds good. What does this all mean practically? Like right now, what are the actual steps Collins recommends to just get started?
Yeah, let's make it super actionable. Collins lays out a clear roadmap. Okay, step 1, open an account. Vanguard is his favorite because of their low cost and structure, but you can find similar low-cost index funds at other brokers too. Find the VTSAX equivalent. Step 2, set up automatic investments. Link your bank account, decide how much you can invest each paycheck or each month, and make it automatic. Set it and forget it. Step 3, buy VTSAX. Or whatever the lowest fee total stock market or S&P 500 index fund is available in your 401k or IRA. Put every investment dollar into that one fund, basically. Step 4, this is the hard part, psychologically. Ignore the noise. Market ups, market downs. Just stay a course, don't tinker. And step 5, whenever you can, increase the amount. Get a raise, bonus, pay off a car, funnel that extra cash into your investments.
Okay, simple steps. But what about taxes? That's always a hurdle. He talks about specific accounts like 401ks and IRAs, for good reason, right?
Oh, absolutely. Tax-advantaged accounts are hugely important. They give your money a massive boost. First priority, always get the full employer match in your 401k. Always. That's free money, like an instant 100% return usually. Don't leave it on the table.
Right. Free money first.
Then he generally suggests funding an IRA Roth or traditional, depending on your situation. Roth is often great for younger folks who expect to be in a higher tax bracket later. Pay taxes now, get tax-free growth and withdrawals later. After the IRA, circle back and max out your 401k if you can. Oh, and critically important, have an emergency fund before you go heavy into stocks. Like 3 to 6 months of essential living expenses. Keep it safe in a high-yield savings account. That stops life's surprises from forcing you to sell investments at the worst possible time.
Makes sense. Safety net first. What about debt? Pay it off or invest?
Good question. High-interest debt, like credit cards. Pay that off aggressively before investing. The interest rate is usually so high, paying it off is like getting a guaranteed high return. But low interest debt, like maybe a mortgage under, say, 5%, Collins would likely suggest investing might be better long-term than paying that off early. Historically, market returns have been higher than low mortgage rates.
Okay, prioritize the high interest stuff. One last practical thing.
Yeah.
People get a lump sum, like an inheritance, all at once, or
Okay.
spread it out.
Yeah, the lump sum dilemma. Collins points out that historically and mathematically, investing the lump sum all at once usually leads to better results. Time in the market beats timing the market, remember? But he also gets the psychology. Putting a big chunk of money into the market all at once can feel really scary for some people. So, dollar cost averaging investing smaller, fixed amounts over a set period is perfectly fine if it helps you sleep at night and actually stick with the plan. Psychological comfort matters. So this really raises an important question for you listening. Based on all this, what's one simple action you could take, maybe even today, to start securing your financial future?
Yeah. It really does boil down to just starting and then being consistent. Okay, as we wrap up our deep dive into the simple path to wealth, let's just quickly recap those core ideas. It's really about choosing simplicity, saying no to complexity, focusing on something like VTSAX, a total market index fund, investing consistently, automatically, totally ignoring the market noise and the predictions, learning to embrace or at least tolerate the inevitable ups and downs, maybe even see them as opportunities, saving a significant chunk of your income, and just letting time and compounding do their incredible work over decades. I feel like this deep dive really highlighted those key aha moments, giving you the tools, really.
Absolutely, and it's so important to keep that long-term perspective front and center. This is not absolutely not a get-rich-quick thing. It's a get-rich-slowly plan. But the key is it's a plan that actually works based on decades of evidence. It's measured in decades, not months. And honestly, the ultimate takeaway, the hardest part isn't understanding what to do. It's the discipline, just sticking with it. Through thick and thin, people who manage that simple discipline often end up way ahead of those chasing complex strategies, precisely because they avoid the big mistakes driven by emotion and high costs.
So true. Okay, so for you listening, maybe your actionable checklist from today's: figure out your net worth, just see where you stand, open that investment account if you need to, set up those automatic transfers into a simple index fund like VTSAX, definitely grab that full 401k match, please do that. And then make a conscious plan. How can you increase your savings rate over time? Even small increases add up. And maybe here's a final provocative thought to leave you with. Just consider how much mental energy, how much worry you could potentially reclaim by adopting a strategy that's built on patience and discipline instead of constantly trying to outsmart the market. Imagine that peace of mind. Your future self will definitely thank you for starting today. Keep exploring, keep learning. Thanks for diving deep with us.